Hello folks, it's Vicious here, and welcome back to more Legend of Zelda and the Ocarina of Time. So in the last episode, we were wrapping up the last few side quests that we had to undertake, and we made our way to the Temple of Time. So let's finally use our fancy new Ocarina and those spiritual stones we've been running around and collecting. Of course, I forgot how to play the Song of Time because I've been playing the 3DS version on the side, just to kind of familiarize myself with the game. I'm okay now because I remember most of the dungeons and the temples and stuff like that. Now all the heart pieces, I'm not entirely sure of all their locations. A lot of them require you to plant beans or to play mini games or just know exactly where they are. So I also want to point out that I did a little off-screening here as well. I basically went back to Bombchu Bowling and picked up the bomb bag upgrade, and I picked up the heart piece there. Basically, you have to play the game a few times to get the prize that you want to show up. So we're going to watch me play the game 3 or 4 times because I did screw up once or twice doing it. I hate that big fat chicken at the end, and sometimes they put the target on the side wall, so it's really hard to aim the Bombchu in the right direction. So that's all you missed, was me missing the Bombchu Bowling a few times. So anyway, we finally open up the Door of Time. So what's our prize here for opening up the Door of Time? Well, my friends, it is the Sword of Evil's Bane, the legendary Master Sword. We finally found it. Now, of course, in A Link to the Past, the Master Sword was just in the Lost Woods, just chilling there for anybody to take. But of course, as the legend says, that no evil can ever touch this sword. Only the chosen hero can pull the Master Sword out of the pedestal of time. Well, in this case, it's a pedestal of time. In other games, I'm not sure what they refer to the pedestal as. But as we pull the Master Sword, there is a dark little secret here. Ganondorf was following us. He stopped his hunt for Princess Zelda after pretty much losing her, so he turned around and followed us through the Door of Time, which allows him to have free access to the Sacred Realm. Which means now he has free access to the Triforce itself. But as we're going to find out later, he doesn't actually have the entire Triforce. You'll see what I mean later on in the game. But it still gives him pretty much free reign to terrorize Hyrule and take it over. And basically make himself the King of Evil. So there's really not much to talk about here because this is just basically the plot for the Chamber of Sages. I said plot, didn't I? I'm sorry, I didn't have the plot. But basically we get an idea of what the Chamber of Sages look like. So I get a little freaked out when people are walking by me while I'm trying to record stuff. It kind of throws off my groove a little bit. Sorry about that. So anyway, here we are introduced to Rauru. I believe that's his name. Rauru? I don't know, but basically he's one of the ancient sages, the Sages of Light. Basically, this here is the Chamber of Sages located inside the Temple of Light. Now, the funny thing about the Temple of Light was this was supposed to be the first temple you took on after you become an adult, which you're going to see in about 5 seconds here. Basically, the reason we are an adult because we can't wield the Master Sword as a kid, so they allowed 7 years to pass, and after 7 years, we are now 17, which makes us pretty much an adult, and we now have the ability to wield the Master Sword with great ease. So anyway, back to the Temple of Light. So the Temple of Light was originally supposed to be the first temple you took on after you pulled the Master Sword out. And I believe it would have been a location where you have gotten the hook shot from. Because without the hook shot, you wouldn't be able to enter the first temple of the game, which is the Forest Temple. So it's an interesting little fact there for you guys. Now, I'm not sure if Zelda was going to add that to the game or not. If so, that would have been super awesome. So that would have been another... Because there was supposed to be 2 temples added to the game once you use the Zelda expansion pack. Which, of course, you need a 64 DD for. It was supposed to be... Oh, sorry about that. Supposed to be the Light Temple and the Ice Temple. Now, of course, we never saw any of those temples, but we didn't see the remix temples in Master Quest, which it's kind of cool, but then again, I would have preferred the 2 extra dungeon temples and the extra items and other things that we're going to add to the game. Now, I'm surprised they never added that stuff to the game, just with all the advances in, gaming technology. It would have been super cool to see those ideas finally played out. But then again, that probably would have upset some people due to the fact that kind of Ocarina of Time is a classic. Probably one of the most well-known, best games on Nintendo 64. Next to games like Super Mario 64 and GoldenEye and Banjo-Kazooie and all them, which are all great games. I highly recommend playing all those games. Those are fantastic games. Actually, I highly recommend playing Nintendo 64 altogether. I know a lot of people like to say the system's outdated with the graphics, but they still have so many great games. So anyway, Raharu here is Raharu. I don't know how you pronounce it, I'm sorry. Raharu here is going to give us our first medallion. I had to remember what it was called there for a second, but yes, the first medallion, which is a Medallion of Light. So after that little interesting story there, we finally returned to the Temple of Time 7 years later. Now you're going to see what happened 7 years in about a minute or two here. Basically, we have to be introduced to somebody here real quick. So it looks like the Temple of Time is perfectly fine. And when you first come back, you're like, oh, well, what happened? I mean, 7 years, not much has changed, huh? So yeah, basically, since we're an adult now, some of the weapons we had as a kid, we can't use them. So basically, the fairy slingshot, the boomerang, we can't use those anymore. Also, we are introduced to a new character here, Sheik. Sheik is the last of his kind. Now, I do know who Sheik is, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you know who Sheik is. But for the time being, and for the people who don't know, we're just going to stick with what we think Sheik is. Sheik looks like a guy. Sheik here is the last of his kind. After, Ganondorf kind of ran roughshod all over Hyrule. And Sheik here is telling us that we have to head to some certain areas. Basically the forest, the mountain, the vast lake, the House of the Dead, and the Goddess of the Sand. Now, of course, our first destination is going to be the Forest Temple itself, but as again, we have to head over to Kakariko Village to obtain an item there. Because Sheik here is surprised that we kind of look like the hero of time as we wield the Master Sword. Now, the adults segment of this game are probably my favorite parts. I'm not a big fan of the child dungeons and the child areas. I don't know why, but I just feel like for some reason when you play as an adult, the game really goes in an overdrive, and it shows off a lot of really cool features, a lot of really cool items. It can get fancy with the temples, stuff like that. It's just quite possibly one of my favorite parts of this game. Yes, we do understand. Now, Sheik here is just going to basically chill out in the Temple of Time. Later on, you can actually come back here and put the Master Sword back in the pedestal and go back to being a kid. There will be 2 situations where we actually have to do that. It's actually mandatory that you do that. But for now, we're going to head out of the Temple of Time and walk into a desolate wasteland. That's right, guys. This is Hyrule Town Market, and it's a little beat up right now. Also, there are redeads everywhere, which we are just going to skip because I don't feel like getting my face humped right now. Also, that little guard station that was here before, it is now home to a weird old guy. Kind of like a Poe. Or just some sort of... I don't know what he is. I think he's a Poe. But anyway, this is a side quest you can take once you acquire Epona and the Fairy Bell. Basically, you have to track down all 10 big Poes, which quite possibly one of the most annoying side quests in this game, because you have to basically run around all over Hyrule Field to find them. And after obtaining all 10 big Poes, you will be able to obtain the final bottle in the game. Which makes you really think, do you really need the 4th bottle? I know a lot of people like to get it for completionist sake, but I still think getting that 4th bottle is just a little tedious. I will be getting the 4th bottle and I'm going to go track down all the big Poes that I can find. Basically, after you capture all 10, he'll give you the bottle. You basically have to put them inside a bottle and take them back to where he is. So, since we have those 21 gold Skulltulas, we're going to head back to the House of Skulltulas real quick and claim our prize. Open the door. So anyway, the guy's going to be on the left here. And he is going to give us the Stone of Agony. So the Stone of Agony is an interesting concept. As you can tell, it looks like an N64 Rumble Pack. And for those who don't know what the N64 Rumble Pack was, it was a accessory packed in first with the game Star Fox 64. And as you would get hit or something would happen, explosion, anything like that, your controller would shake. So it makes you really feel like you're in the game. And plus, you made your controller like super heavy. Also, if you came here and planted the bean, which I forgot to do, you can come here and pick up a piece of heart. But for now, we're actually going to move this headstone out of the way and drop into this hole. Now, of course, I didn't get to show off Dampy, but here is Dampy. Also, if you hit the B button too fast, it just kind of scrolls through the text really fast. So sorry about that. Anyway, Dampy here is going to race us, in a sense. We don't have to beat him, we just have to keep up with him. Also, be very careful of the fire. I do get hit like once or twice here. It's just really annoying. Because you don't know exactly where he's going to throw it, and he tries to throw you off. And when he gets close to a door, you have a few seconds to actually get there before it shuts, and you have to start all over again. If you're having trouble your very first time, that's understandable. But once you get the hang of it, it's quite easy. Just keep up with them. I do know they revisit this concept in Majora's Mask, which is a lot easier because you have the bunny hood, which makes you a lot faster. But we don't have that in this game. The only fast way travel method we have, well, fast travel method, sorry about that, is Epona, which we don't have yet, and you can't even bring Epona in here, so we're just going to be able to run. That's it. That's our only mode of transportation. When we're inside places or in towns, is just to run. So this there is the final stretch. Now you can come back here later and you can pick up a piece of heart for raising him again. So yeah, he's very impressed that we were able to keep up with him, and he's going to give us a reward. So we finally get the hook shot. This is quite possibly my favorite item in any Zelda game. Anytime the hook shot comes up, I'm just super happy about it. I do like the fact that in later Zelda games, they introduce like claw shots. Twilight Princess had the double claw shots. Anything like that is just a really cool item to me. I don't know why. When I first got this item, I went all over the place just trying to hook shot onto everything. Because I remember A Link to the Past, how cool it was to finally get the hook shot. Because I was never able to get the hook shot as a kid because I had a lot of trouble playing A Link to the Past at first. But when I finally got the hook shot, man, I was just happy. I was ecstatic. Anyway, we're going to equip our hook shot here. And we're going to need our ocarina as well. We're going to have to play... Also, I used the bombs by accident. But yeah, we're going to play the Song of Time here to get rid of these stones. You'll be seeing these stones popping up in a few other dungeons later on. Actually, the first temple we get to is going to have one of those in our way, so... Just remember the Song of Time because there's a lot of blocks like that blocking your path, and it will lead you to other really good secret and goodies. So the exit out of the graveyard is the windmill, of course, which is kind of weird. I don't know why there's a back entrance to that headstone graveyard area, which is really, I don't know. Hyrule, everybody! So anyway, you're going to hop on this little rotating platform and grab another piece of heart. I don't know why I'm burping. I haven't drank anything for like an hour. Weird. So anyway, come down here and talk to this guy. Or actually, you're not going to talk to him. You're going to whip out your ocarina. And he's going to remember a song. Basically, a kid came in here 7 years ago and would play this song that threw off the entire windmill. And, yeah, he's going to teach us right now. So anyway, this here is the Song of Storms. Now, this song doesn't have much of a use. I mean, it is kind of useful in a few situations. But other than that, it doesn't have much of a purpose. So it's just there if you want for completion's sake. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I know my commentary was a little off. And I'm sorry about that. I'm going to try, just remember that no videos will be out this weekend. I'm going to be taking a break to probably stream this weekend and to do some other things I need to do, as well as catch up on recordings of Legend of Zelda and my next LP, which will be coming up when we get close to the end of Legend of Zelda. So anyway, guys, I am Vicious. Hope you all have a wonderful day and take care. See you later.